Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? It's a very nice turnout. Let me first by introducing myself. My name is Margie Otto, and I'm here with the City of Vernon. I support the utility as well. My primary areas are in customer relations and marketing. So I am just very pleased to not only see so many folks here, young women and men, but also the parents. So that's always very, very nice to see. Can we get an idea of maybe what schools are in attendance? What school do you go to? And you? Nice. Oh, that's good variety. Wonderful. And you up front? That's great. I love that. And all seniors? Juniors? Sophomores? Good. I love that. I think what you can see from this first slide is what we're hoping to show today is to get a little bit of understanding of the different types of careers that you can have in public sector, and to really move from the idea of a job and really, to find a career. And the difference is a career is something that is really hopefully going to motivate you, and you can see a trajectory of where you want to be, not only in the next year, but 5 years and 10 years down the road. So for today, we want to give you a little bit of insight about Vernon, what it means to be to get a career in public service, the different types of careers, and overall what we do operationally. So Vernon, just a little bit about us. We were founded in 1905. We were really primarily there to support jobs. We're very much a small knit community with a wide variety of different types of businesses that exist here. And we really are focused on making sure that we support with community policing, expert health services, affordable public utilities, and to ensure a stable economy. We are 5.2 square miles, not very large, but in the daytime, there are tons of businesses, and those businesses bring in a lot of employees to support. And that's 55,000 people that come in every day to support the 1,800 businesses that are here in Vernon. And in the nighttime, 220 people who are residents here at the City of Vernon. So a little bit about public sector. Can someone give me an idea of what it means to be a public servant? We do have raffle prizes or giveaways. You want to take a shot? Yes. Yeah. So each and every one of you, you're here representing so many different schools, but you all live in a city, right? And in your city, you all have very similar services, and you visit parks, your libraries, the schools that are in your community. It's those types of jobs that are really supporting back into the community that you live in, and the investment that you can have not only into your own city that you live in, but the other communities that eventually those folks will live in there. For Vernon and most cities, it's, we are governed by a city council. They're elected by the people who live in the city. We are managed by our city administrator, and he is appointed, and his bosses are the members of the city council. And then he oversees a wide variety of different managers throughout the city. To keep that sort of delineation and ensure there's checks and balances, the city attorney is also appointed by the city council, and he or she manages the legal affairs. In our case, we have a female city manager. And then we've got a wide range of different departments, and they oversee the very different functions. Now, I think I recall when I was in high school that I had a good sense of what I thought were different city departments. But then when I really got asked, I don't know if I was merging the difference between local versus state versus federal. So how many of you guys can name at least 3 different city departments? Very good. That's one department. That's one that I work for. So kudos to that one. Another department. Okay, also under the water and power. Great. Yeah, so that's actually under state. No, but this is helpful because when you start to vote and they talk about funding and then who actually has to enforce. So, it starts to make a little bit more sense, but I think, at your stage, it's understanding the different types of careers that you can do in the local sector. Another guess, just look around. There's a handful of department heads. I think the ones in uniform are a good giveaway. Yes, Public Works, perfect. And then police and fire. Well, in any case, for Vernon, we have about 7 different, is it 7? 9 different departments. And every city is a little bit different depending on its size. And we have members here as well as their staff to hopefully give you a good sense of the different careers that exist within each of the departments. So this is how we're structured. As I mentioned, we have our council. We've got our city administrator who reports to them, as well as our city attorney. We've got our police. We've got our health department, which is very rare. There's only 3 cities in the entire state of California that have their own health department. So Vernon's very fortunate to have that. We have our public works, where the sanitation, sewer, the roads are being managed. Our public utilities is also very rare to have a city that has its own utilities. There's a handful, I want to say about 6, 7 in California that has its own locally owned utility, finance and treasury, city clerk, and our human resources. Okay. So I'm going to hand this off to our human resources director, who's going to give you a little bit more idea about the different jobs that we have here.
Good evening. My name is Michael Earl. I'm the Director of Human Resources for the City of Vernon. As you look towards the types of careers that you might want to pursue, or if you're evaluating your educational goals right out of high school, if you're in your early years of college, we're hoping that you're going to consider a career in the public service. Careers in the public service provide a stable and rewarding work experience and offer a wide variety of types of jobs and careers that are available. Next one, please. Public sector jobs and careers, there's a huge variety of them, and there's all different kinds of employers in the public sector. Margie talked a little bit about them, but some examples of the types of agencies or the types of public sector agencies include the federal government, state government, counties, cities, of course, special districts that are focused on one particular public service, like water or libraries or something like that. There's even like mosquito abatement districts that focus on just one particular type of public service. And they offer, again, a wide variety of services and careers and jobs. Even the military is considered public service. The public school system is also considered part of the public sector. The main differences between the public sector and the private sector is that public agencies provide necessary services that are available to all people and are provided without the motivation for profit. Private companies, they're there to engage in businesses and to make a profit, whereas public agencies are not motivated by profit. They're providing a service to a particular community. And generally, their public agency budgets are funded through your tax dollars. You're going to hear from a variety of City of Vernon departments about some of the jobs that we have here. Margie went over the list of the departments that we have here. But we also have a variety. There are many jobs that go beyond just what we have here in the City of Vernon. Some of which include a lot of different fields, like things you might not have heard of that are part of the public sector, including air traffic control. That's part of the federal government. The military and armed forces, of course. There's transportation jobs in the public service. animal control, that's public service, public sector jobs. There's public sector careers in medicine, engineering, and just a huge variety of services and careers that are available in the public sector. Generally, I think public sector jobs offer very competitive wages and benefits. They provide more stability and great job satisfaction from serving the public and improving or having impact on all of our lives. Next slide. So we're going to introduce each of the departments and have representatives come up from each of the departments and talk a little bit about what they do, and then also each individual will talk briefly about what their career has been like and how kind of they got into their jobs. First up is the Human Resources Department. So we have two of our staff, Lizette Griselli, who's a senior human resources analyst, and also Ashley Revelis, who's a HR analyst. If you guys want to come up and talk about HR.
Good evening. Like Michael said, my name is Lizette Griselli. And a little bit about me. As an undergraduate, I applied for several internship opportunities to experience and learn more about possible career paths. At first, my major was biochemistry, with the goal of becoming a pharmacist. After working as a pharmacy technician, I soon realized that that was not for me. It was not a fit. So I interned with other agencies, public agencies, one in the city administrator's office for another city. And I discovered local government career opportunities, and I was interested in that field. I changed my undergraduate major to business administration. Soon after graduation, I started working for a local public school district in human resources department, and I obtained my master's degree in business administration while working full-time. And I have been with the city of Vernon for 9 years.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley Revelis. I'm the HR analyst here for the city of Vernon. For me, I got my undergraduate degree in American Studies from California State University of Fullerton. I initially wanted to be a history teacher. I did an internship, started student teaching, and realized that the classroom was not for me. So there I was, college graduate, a degree in American Studies, and no work experience outside of performing administrative responsibilities. So I kind of utilized those administrative skills that I had learned working as an assistant and kind of built my way working through HR. So I started doing payroll processing, and that's one function of human resources, all the way up to being an HR generalist, and then an analyst, senior analyst, and now an analyst again. I've been working in the public sector for the last 5 years. And so I think you might see just with Lizette and my example alone that a lot of people end up in human resources as an accident. So it's not maybe an area that you are thinking about when you're thinking about going to college or where you want to see your career to be. But if you are interested in math or science, there's opportunities in human resources for you, like in benefits or compensation. If you are interested in law, there's a lot of employment law that you have to follow to make sure that we as employers are being in compliance with state, federal, and local laws. Yeah, we can go over some educational paths in human resources. There's human resources management, there's business administration, there's public administration, there's organizational management. I myself, because my degree is not necessarily aligned with my professional skill set, I actually went back to school and received a certification through UCLA in HR management to supplement my real life skills. And there are various careers. You can start at the entry level as an HR assistant, HR coordinator, and all the way up to an HR director. So there are various levels that you can work at in human resources. And if you're someone who is, very analytical, have great communication skills, fair, objective, and I think most importantly, like ability to adapt and be flexible, human resources may be a great career path for you.
So I agree with Ashley. Any field, you use a lot of math. We work on Excel, Word, different projects. So it's very interesting, and every day is a little bit different. So it's not the same thing every day. So as far as our service overview, We support various departments in hiring and retaining talented city staff. And that's throughout the whole year. Recruitment's ongoing, feels like all the time. As well as that function, we provide general information for our employees, our different departments or candidates, as well as policy interpretation. The focus of our department, it's responsible for benefits administration, workers' compensation, labor relations, recruitment, training and development, as well as any other projects or activities that are assigned to human resources. We also create, maintain, and update programs, activities, policies, procedures founded in human resources best practices. And something unique about human resources for those that are more inclined to customer service and dealing and interacting with people is that we establish and maintain relationships with our employees for a very, very long time, sometimes many, many decades. So it starts when the employee is an applicant while they're here in their career. And once they retire with different questions or retiree medical health continuation. So our services go on for many years with our employees. So thank you for your time.
Can I stand on that side? I was gonna step over. So who knows what they want to be when they grow up? You do? What do you want to be? Police. Well, wait, didn't you already do that? Yeah, okay. Who else? Ladies? You don't know yet? I didn't either. When I was your age, I actually wanted to be an Olympian because I played soccer, so I thought I could go to the Olympics. Well, that didn't happen. Even though I can't sing, I thought I'd be a star on Broadway, but that didn't happen. So really, when I started going to school, I was pre-med because I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. That didn't happen either. So here's what happened. I became a city clerk. Do you guys know what a city clerk is? No, I mean, I didn't either when I started in this profession. I was actually. Yep. I was actually a gymnastics coach, and one of my gymnast dad was a city manager for a city. I had no idea what a city clerk was, but he said, well, you graduated from USC, you probably, can write and type and do that sort of thing. So come work for me. So I became a city clerk. When I was in the City Clerks Association as the president several years back, my goal for that year was to promote the profession. So people knew what city clerks did. And we came up with an elevator speech. Do you guys know what an elevator speech is? Yeah, you do? What is it? Right. So something you can tell a person while you're going from one floor to the next in an elevator. So we came up with an elevator speech on what a city clerk is. And I'm going to read it too, because I had it memorized, but I forgot. So it says the city clerk is the local official who administers democratic processes such as elections, access to city records, and all legislative actions ensuring transparency to the public. City clerk acts as the compliance officer for federal, state, and local statutes, including the Political Reform Act, the Brown Act, the Public Records Act. The city clerk manages public inquiries and relationships and arranges for ceremonial and official functions. There's an official function up there in that picture. So what are some of the things that what does that actually mean? We maintain all the city records. So I'm the official record keeper of the city. I have to provide the public with documents when they want it. We've heard about emails that go missing or White House documents that get taken away. That's my job here in the city, is to make sure all of our records stay where they're supposed to be. And if someone wants to see one, that I can find it and show them. One of my favorite parts of the job is that I'm the elections official. So last year we had 3 elections. We have our regular election where the city council members get elected. We have 5 city council members. 4 of them are women. 1 is a male. It's very unusual in local government to have that many females on the city council. So I run the election. I help the voters in the city get their ballots and be able to vote. We also provide public meeting support. So we provide support to the city council. We help them prepare their agenda and have staff reports to review and talk about. The city here also has commissions. So we have a business and industry commission. We have a housing commission. Those are volunteers that help the council do their job. So the Housing Commission might talk about rules related to the houses that the city owns. And the city clerk's department provides support. We help them set up the meeting, we prepare their agenda and that sort of thing. We're also the filing central. If you want to sue the city because you tripped over a crack in the sidewalk, you come to my department to file the paperwork. If you want to serve on a commission and you want to fill out your application, you submit those at my department as well. If you want to live in city housing, you bring your application to my department as well. And then we sort of go over the paperwork and then get it to the right department that handles that process. So like I said, I happened into this career by accident. My degree is in kinesiology. I was going to be an orthopedic surgeon. And here I am 27 years later as a city clerk. It's been a great profession. Never thought I'd be here. Had a lot of different ideas of what I wanted to do when I grew up. I still am not sure what I want to do when I grow up, and hopefully I'll get a chance to do something really fun after this career. But a lot of people who do end up as city clerks these days get degrees in public administration or political science. It's kind of a common local government degree, but it doesn't have to be the only way you get there. And there's even some city clerks that are elected. So do you guys all live in different cities? I heard Venice High School and some private high schools that I don't know where they are, but do you live in Venice High School people? Westchester, is Westchester a city? It's LA. Good job. Give her a raffle ticket or whatever she gets. Anyone live in a different city or you all live in Westchester? Long Beach. Do you know who the city clerk in Long Beach is? Somebody whispered something. Do you know how many council members you have in Long Beach? I think 9. 9? Oh, you live in Long Beach. Do you know who the city clerk is in Long Beach? Is the city clerk in Long Beach elected? I don't think so. Torrance city clerk is elected. So some city clerks are elected, which is weird because how do you run an election if you are on the ballot? That seems a little wishy-washy to me. You know, it's kind of hard to do when you're counting the ballots and, oh wait, that one's for me. No, do you have any questions about ballot security? Come talk to me and come watch my process, because I am very confident that at least in local government, we are taking care of our ballots and making sure people who are alive vote and not people don't vote twice. So what can you do in the city clerk department? We have my position, which is the department head, the city clerk. There's deputy or assistant city clerks. You can be a records manager. Like I said, we have to maintain all the city records. So we do electronic record storage, scanning. We make sure people know when they can get rid of records legally and what they have to keep. Or there's administrative and clerical support positions as well. So who wants to be a city clerk when they grow up? Freddie. Girls, no? Orthopedic surgeon? Olympian. Okay, perfect. None. So do you guys have any idea now what you want to be? Still no. The bottom line is there's so many opportunities. Local government is a great place to work, whether it's an HR or city clerk or the other departments that are going to come up here and talk to you. I mean, if you don't know yet, you'll figure it out. You'll fall into where you're supposed to be one way or another. Any questions? Nope. Here comes Todd.
Hello, everyone. We're happy you're here. We're happy to share a little information about Vernon Public Utilities, so you can understand a little more about what we do in the utilities. So some of you are talking about water and power. So we're very unique as a utility. We serve 4 different utility services. So we serve electric, water, gas, and fiber and internet to our customers. We have our own power plant here in the city, which runs off of natural gas. So at the utility, with a couple of the contracts we have about 100 staff members. So I get an opportunity to work with those 100 people every day. So it's really exciting. It's fast paced, and we're a real benefit to the community by serving those really vital needs to everyone. So there are a lot of different jobs in the utility. that require a different degree of education and experience. So we have jobs that are very hands-on. We have people that work on the power lines. So when a power line comes down, they'll restore that power line. We have people that work in our electric substations. We have people that work in the field trenching and taking care of our water lines, which are underground. We have people that work on our natural gas pipelines. So we have a lot of very hands-on jobs that require more experience in education. We also have things like engineering. We buy and sell power across the electric grid in the state. So we also have jobs that require a little more education. So there are a lot of jobs across the utility. We have a very diverse staff, and we have people from all different walks of life and all different backgrounds that work in the utility. So there are a lot of different paths to get a career in utilities. So for myself, I played sports in high school to have a chance to go to college, and that took me to the lovely states of Nebraska and Wyoming. I figured out how to get to California and ended up at UCLA. And I worked in the entertainment industry, working in post-production on movies and TV shows. I did that for about 10 years. And then I ran my own small business, which was a great experience before I applied for a job here. So I had a very different path to get here, not your typical path to get into utility work, but I've been here about 15 years. And I've got to do many things across all of our utilities. Got to work with all those different enterprises, water, gas, electric, fiber, internet, and got to learn many different things to get to this point. So I'm going to bring up some of our staff, and they're going to tell you a little bit about how they got to Vernon Public Utilities, about what they do and the people they work with. So I've got Edwin Ochoa. He's our operations supervisor. Joanna Moreno, and she's our civil engineer, helps out with water. And then Matt Richards, who's our operations manager, who works at our power plant, which you might see when you're driving through the city.
Thank you, Todd. Hello, everyone. Good to see you here. My name is Edwin. I've been with the city for 14 years. I started off my career here as an account clerk, which was a very entry-level position with the city. And the reason why I chose to work for the city was because of the benefits and the fact that they provided tuition assistance. So right now I'm the utilities operations supervisor. The way I got to where I'm at is I started as an account clerk. Then I went to school to prepare myself for future opportunities. I completed my undergrad, and even now I'm still in school. I'm doing the MBA program at USC. But that's not the only way that you can move up within the city. There's also the group that I supervise and the operations group. And the alternative method for that group is you go to the trade school. So there's like LA Trade Tech or Bismarck State College. It's more technical. So you'll get the more technical experience so that you can do such jobs as a electric operator or utilities dispatcher. Their job is to provide or reliable electricity and water to the city. And just one key takeaway that I want to give you is just prepare so that when opportunities come up, you're ready for it. So I'll just pass it over to Joanna.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'll start with a little background of myself. I was born in Southern Los Angeles, and I went to school in Cal Poly Pomona. Sorry. I was one of the many people that have to work and go to school at the same time. I got my bachelor's degree in civil engineering while I was working here part-time. I was actually the first one in my family to be able to get a bachelor's degree. So I started working here as a part-time AutoCAD technician. I'm now a civil engineer. Engineering is a STEM field. So yes, I love math, and I always have. But science, that one had to grow on me while I was in college. I like it now, except maybe chemistry. That one never grew on me. As an engineer for the utility, I work in all facets of the water division, including engineering, project management, planning, and budgeting, among other things. One of the projects I'm currently working on is the construction of a new groundwater well, which I'm actually really excited about because it can be a once in a lifetime project because they have a useful life of 50 to 100 years. And all that said, not all careers in water require a bachelor's degree. There's also professional certifications. I work with water operators in the field. I know not everybody loves math, so not everybody wants to be an engineer. The operators in the field, there's examination requirements, there's state issued certifications that you have to take, but it starts with a high school diploma, and then there's courses that you can take and some experience with actually you can get on the job. The operators I work with are involved with operating and maintaining the supply and distribution system. We have groundwater wells, which is the supply. Then the distribution system includes the storage tanks, booster pumps, and also the pipelines that run underground and take the water all the way to the tap. We work with developers to get water services to the businesses and homes in Vernon. The operators are also responsible for constructing the new water services. Our department works as a team in everything water, from extracting water from underground through wells, ensuring that it's potable and safe to drink, and sending it all the way to the tap. Another part of my job is working with the state on regulatory compliance, as well as with other agencies and organizations on a bigger scale that all work to ensure the region has clean and sufficient water supply for everyone. In collaboration with those organizations, we even work on legislative issues. Being that California seems to be in a drought quite often, water is a very big deal here. And believe me, it's never boring. That being said, we're in a drought, so just want to take this opportunity to remind everyone to conserve water.
Thanks. Matt Richards, I'm sorry, Utilities Operations Manager. I oversee the power plant as well as the operations group for the city's power grid. So instead of walking through my whole career and how I got where I am today, I think the most important part for me to talk about is how I started. My start is traced back to when I was 16 years old, summer job. Before I was a senior in high school, a power plant was doing internship programs. I made the decision to apply to internship instead of having a summer with my friends. I spent 4 weeks at a power plant working overhauls. I thought that sounded great, but it ended up being shovels and brooms and a lot of hard work for 3 weeks. So it was not as glamorous as I hoped it would be, but they learned who I was. I knew what they were about. Next year, it came back to the same thing. And then that turned into a job offer with that same power company for new power plant construction for plants across the whole country. I spent 5 years doing power plant construction with that same company and learned the skills to become an operations employee. Once I was an operations employee, I went from Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Texas, Southern California, all over the country for 5 years doing that. Landed here in Vernon, where I've been since 2006 at the power plant. This job is great in a couple ways. Most of our staff is not college educated, which is surprising to hear that. They have great jobs with no formal degrees. Besides internships to get my foot in the door, most guys at the power plant are actually ex-military and most are ex-Navy. So without opportunities in college or internships, almost everyone that's ex-Navy has qualifications from day one to get an awesome power plant job, and also with the utility with little experience besides just Navy education. So highly recommended for public service if you guys go into military. It's a great start for utility jobs. And aside from that, the two most important things are a good work ethic and just your attitude. We hire based on attitude more than ability. And if you guys have a good work ethic and good ability, you can all possess that skill and you get awesome jobs by just having those abilities. So thank you guys.
All right, so that's a little bit about utility work. And so we are here. If you guys have any questions, you can always come by. You can always call us. That's one thing about Vernon is we have a real personal touch. You don't get a phone tree. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and we can direct you in any way. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. So I tried to dress and look cool like you guys, but it didn't work. So welcome. You guys are too quiet. Are you guys in high school? Come on. We're supposed to be the old and quiet, not you guys. So like Lisa said, you know, I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. I'm working on it. So if you don't know, you're in the right place, right? But how many of you have your parents here with you? Say thank you to your parents. And if they're not here, also say thank you to your parents. Because the next couple of years, they're gonna have to pay for you to go to college, right? and take advantage of it. I promise you that, because you will need it. But thank you for coming. I think earlier you mentioned that, we are one of the 3 cities that have its own health department. We're actually one of the 4. So City of Long Beach, City of Pasadena, City of Vernon, and City of Berkeley have their own health department. And out of the 4, we are the smallest one. We have 5 square miles. But out of the 4, we probably do the most. So we are small, but we are mighty. So what do we do? Does anybody go to a restaurant here, eat at a restaurant? I do. Do you know how you get inspected? How? Somebody from the health department. Okay, I like that. That's us, right? Anybody here drive and go to the gas station? Nobody drive? Most of us do. Right, so we actually inspect those places to make sure that the tanks that is filling up your gas is not leaking, that may get to the water table. So it's a department that does a lot, but it's the stuff we do that people not even aware of because we are behind the scene, right? Like I always joke, my parents still don't know what I do for a living. Except my mom knows that you guys are the one that goes and put an A on a restaurant. I'm like, come on, we do more than that, right? But we do inspect everything when it comes to the environment. We make sure that, the rules are being followed. The other thing so we might know when it comes to health, like when COVID happened, we kind of shut a whole operation down and did vaccines and make sure, people were getting the vaccine. We actually have a truck that went around running businesses so that we can provide a vaccine to employees. So how did I get here, right? Just like everybody else. And it's gonna be, did they tell you there were gonna be a quiz, by the way? No, you were not told that? So there's been a bunch of directors that have come in front of you. Can anyone tells me what degree they got to get their job? Quiz number 1. Best guess. You know what degree they got? Yeah, something, right? Exactly. So you just need something, right? So if you don't know what you want to do when you grow up, just don't be discouraged. Just, I think it's been said, sometimes you may not need a college degree. Or if you do get a college degree, just get the degree, right? Because you'll figure it out. The fact that you're here is great because it's a good start to know what is out there because most of us didn't know that when we were in high school. So I started my career, I went to school just like Lisa. I got a degree in biochemistry. I thought I was going to go to med school and save the world, right? Until I showed up at a nursing home as an intern and I'm like, hell no, not doing this. So did that disappoint my parents? Yes, because I was supposed to be the doctor in the family, right? So I end up on this field by accident. I just, one day, just working, I'm like, what can I do with my science degree? And I Google it like we all do. And it said you can be environment. Come on, Lisa. It was Google back then. I knew how to use it. Yep, Yahoo maybe. But they said, you can become a health inspector. So I had no idea what that meant. But I went through the process and I'll tell you, it was the best thing I ever did. Because to this date, I think I probably can say I've saved more life than the doctor could have done. So you just never know where your career can take you. So, be flexible, stay in school, Because you stay, I bet your parents may pay for it, so take that. But I have actually a special person here that, without her, I don't think, I'll be standing here telling what we do. She's actually the boots on the ground that does all the work. So I want you to introduce to Maria, and she can tell you a little bit about what we do.
My name is Maria Velasquez. I'm a registered environmental health specialist. And believe it or not, this was one of two things I knew I was going to do in high school. The first thing I thought I was going to do was be a writer. And after a while, I realized my creative brain was not quite up to the task. So I decided to switch to environmental health. I first learned about it from taking an environmental class in high school. It was AP Environmental Science. And I learned a little bit about how to keep the world safe, how things work, how it affects the community, the environment, animals. And from there, I started to look into some classes and realized that Cal State Northridge had an environmental and occupational health program. And it was exactly what I wanted. I'm one of the few people that probably gets this pumped about those classes. But if you have any interest in science, there is some math involved. Take a look, try a class here and there, see if it's for you. You'll know pretty quickly if it's something you're interested in. I'm going to date myself here, but has anyone heard of the show How It's Made? Yes. Okay. I used to love watching that show in between classes. You get to see how things are made in the facilities, how they operate and all of that. That is literally my job right now, day to day. I go to all different kinds of facilities. I see how your food is made, how your sodas are made, how your clothes are made, how some of the parts that end up in your cars, in your phones, all of those things. I get to see how they're made and even the raw materials from there. I am a health inspector, so I do go out and, inspect retail food facilities, but I also go to industrial food facilities. Think of all those name brands you see at the grocery store. I've been there. Okay. Dodger dogs. Yes, I know how they're made. All of
food. We don't take credit by the quality, but
Trader Joe's. I know where that stuff comes from. Okay. So you'll be able to see that too. Beyond that, we also do hazardous materials and hazardous waste. So like Freddie mentioned, we go and inspect the gas stations that you guys fill up your cars at. I had to take a test for that and now I'm certified in it. In our field, a lot of the stuff beyond just having a bachelor's is certifications. To be an environmental health specialist, I had to take an exam with the state to be registered. To inspect the underground tanks, I'm ICC certified. To do those hazmat and haz waste inspections, I have a HAZWOPER certification. It means hazardous waste operations and emergency response. That's another cool thing. Emergency response. You get to go out and see what's happening out there. Those accidents you hear on the news. Okay, not all of them are that scary. Some of them are really small, really basic, but you get to go out and, help contain that situation. You're helping keep people safe, make sure that doesn't spread beyond that. I actually got a little tip that some of you play softball, right? You're on a team. You have to work as a team here, okay? I played softball since I was 9, so I know how the team dynamic works. We have a few people from PD here. When I go out for emergency response, I meet up with PD. I meet up with the fire department and different agencies beyond that. Fish and Game, Fish and Wildlife, they come out. We also work with LA County. I went to a call where I had the FBI there even. So you get to meet a lot of different people. And with this, you can go anywhere, really. It's not just California, across the United States. I had a professor once tell me, this is the best way to see the world. If you're involved in science and environmental health, occupational health, making sure people are safe doing their jobs, you can go anywhere with this. So if it even piques your interest a little bit, I say check it out, okay? And one of the fun parks, I'm going to throw it in there, even though it's not just us, but we also do animal control. I get to pick up dogs every once in a while and cats. Come on. That sounds like a fun day to end the day. I did keep 2 cats. Okay. I've hit my limit at my apartment with 2 dogs and 2 cats. But it's a really fun place to work. It's a really great team. There is never a dull moment. So If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. Show you around maybe.
So thank you. And just to finish up, you can work for the federal government, you can work for the state. I have friends that work for the cruise ship. They get to travel because without them, imagine going on a cruise and everybody having a bad stomach, right? Because the food wasn't right. That would not be a fun cruise ship. So you get to do a lot of fun things. And you're basically your own boss when you're out there because, you're out there saving life. So we are big in our department. The city in general having interns. So if you're ever interested, you want to see what we do, you're more than welcome to just reach out to us and I will show you around. We'll show you where your trash go and what happens to them. So all those things that every day we use, we'll show you actually why they make frozen burritos that you buy at Costco. Maybe you may stop eating frozen burritos. We'll show you. So I want to say thank you for coming and wish you all well and we'll stick around if you guys have questions. Thank you. Oh, there's the man.
Freddie, fellow alumni, University of Redlands. Good evening. I'm Manuel Garcia, Deputy Director of Public Works. With me, I have Andrew. And, welcome once again. We have about 17 on Zoom. And, I'm going to start with kind of like the big picture and then work my way down and talk about some of the detail. The city of Vernon is right behind you. Those on Zoom can't see it, but it's about 5 square miles. About 45 to 50,000 people come in to work in Vernon every single day. And that has a huge impact when you consider the money multiplier in this general area. Our finance director might be able to explain that a little bit larger, but the people that work here go home and spend the money in their local communities. So the responsibility that we have to provide that kind of business environment, we take very seriously. To further elaborate on Michael's discussion on public sector versus the private sector, I want to give you an example. Think of the highway, think of a freeway. The freeway is open access. However, if Amazon owned the freeway, they would be a prime lane and you would have to pay for that. So the public sector clearly provides the environment for you to have a healthy environment, parks, recs, streets, public safety, fire. That's at home. But in a city like Vernon, we provide the environment, the public sector provides the environment that makes it possible for the private sector to succeed in a non-competitive way. We do not take one over the other. The road is there for everybody to use. So now next slide. More directly to public works. One word, safety. Just about everything we do in public works has to do with safety. The safety of the roads, the safety of the buildings, the safety of the environment, graffiti, illegal dumping, homelessness. We work very closely with our police department to treat homeless individuals in a humanistic way, to make sure that the environment is one that is safe. We have a building department, we have civil engineers, we have the mechanics that work with the vehicle fleets to make sure that our vehicles that our employees drive are safe. So safety is everything that we do, even maintaining street islands in a safe and beautiful way. So beauty, cleanliness, order, that is all related to safety. Ensure cleanliness, enable businesses to begin new operations, guide businesses during planning phases of development. We have various degrees, college degrees in engineering, business, public administration, political science, specialized industry and professional certifications, mechanics, code enforcement officers, permit technicians, wide array of jobs. You have to be able to draw. You have to be able to do all kinds of different things. There are different careers: director of public works, facility supervisor, permit technicians, building inspector, engineering aide, street maintenance worker. warehouse worker, public work inspectors, so on and so forth. So that's kind of like the department in general. As far as yours truly, I didn't think that in junior high, when I took a class in photography, it was going to be so important. And I didn't think that in high school, when I took a class on horticulture, that it was going to be so important. At the time, I didn't tie the two. Is it important now? Absolutely. We're all taking pictures, right? Out of high school, I went to Cal Poly Pomona. Yay. Aerospace engineer. I wanted to be a basketball player. My goal was to play for the Lakers. I was sure that Jerry West was going to pick me up and say, you're going to be our point guard. And my backup plan was to be a center fielder for the Dodgers. That was my backup plan. And I was sure of that. And my dad said, nah, you're not going to go play college basketball. What you're going to do is you're going to be an aerospace engineer. Okay, Dad. So I went to Cal Poly Pomona, did not want to be an aerospace engineer. However, I took my physics class seriously. I took my biology class seriously. I took my mathematics classes very seriously. You know, so you gain a lot of knowledge. And I took my music appreciation class seriously. And it opened up my eyes to a lot of different things. About the same time, 1983, I started working for the city of Vernon as a part-time worker, utility man. My first job was to clean out a storm drain basin. Man, that was fun, right? A lot of fun in the summer. You know, Vernon is known for having some very interesting animals. And, you know, and then all of a sudden I was an engineering aide for the traffic engineer. I was the assistant. I used to do traffic counts by hand. Now you use your cell phone to monitor traffic counts. From there, I started working for the light and power department. And little by little, all of the things that I learned in terms of mathematics, calculus, finance, all those classes that I took in school, I started making the connection between that and what I was doing at work. But I did not have a degree. And then one day I heard a song and it went like this: Manny, we love you. We would love for you to do that job. However, you don't have a bachelor's degree. And you don't feel good when you hear that, right? And it changed my life because I said, that's the last time I'm going to hear that song. And I earned my bachelor's degree. And then later on, I earned my master's degree from the University of Redlands. And that wasn't easy. Earning my bachelor's degree and to get to my master's degree, it was almost a 10-year journey. And while I was working and I had a family. So that wasn't easy. Over the last 40 years or so, since 1983, I worked for Light and Power for about 27 years. I've operated my own business for about 10 years, and I worked for Public Works for about 5 years. And I've had an opportunity to do a lot of different things, make a positive impact, and work with just some great people. We have a great team here in the city of Vernon because we are basically focused on providing that competitive advantage to the business community. Now I have Andrew, and I'm going to turn it to Andrew so he can talk a little bit about his job, his career.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Andrew Gia, and I'm an assistant engineer for the Public Works Department. I completed my undergrad at Cal Poly Pomona, the Bachelor's of Science in Civil Engineering with the environmental option emphasis. During my time in undergrad, I participated in clubs such as American Society of Civil Engineers, Institute of Transportation Engineers, and Barcata, the Filipino chapter club of Cal Poly Pomona. I want to say that I highly recommend doing clubs in college and high school. It's a very underrated way to get to meet professionals. I had the opportunity to attend a lot of meetings, see a lot of presentations, and meet with professionals who were more than welcome to share about their daily lives and even ask us about what were our career goals. And then on top of that, you got the opportunity to meet with your teachers and professors, and it helped you break the ice and really get to know them personally. So I had my first internship with the city of Yorba Linda, where I also assisted the engineering department performing surveying, and a big part was communicating with the public. So that's where I really got to learn what it was like in the real world. I then applied for the engineering aid position here at the city of Vernon, where I came on full time to assist with mainly encroachments and the daily operations. So after a year and a couple months, I was encouraged to apply for the assistant engineer position. And here I've seen my responsibilities really take off and grow, where I take on a lot more city project management, plan checking, performing inspections, contract writing, and plan drafting. So far, I've really enjoyed my time here, learning from other departments, seeing what they do and what it takes to keep the city running. And I look forward to continue providing my service here for the public.
Outstanding, Andrew. And just some advice. Okay, number one, follow your passion. Follow your passion. Whatever you love doing, you will be good at, and you will spend the time to become great at it. Follow your passion. Number two, do not fear change. Change is inevitable. Do not fear change. Grasp it and move on. And then lifelong learner. Continue your education. Don't stop learning, reading, be curious. And if you do that, you're going to have a great career. Thank you. Now to the finance department. Where's the money? We need money.
Good evening, Scott Williams, Director of Finance, City Treasurer. And I came on board here, City of Vernon, 3 years ago. After an array of different positions over the last 2 decades. A little bit about what we do. Our department is inherently back office and support. So we have a number of both forward and backward looking activities. So forward looking is budget, financial planning, analysis, that sort of thing. That kind of charts our path with where we're headed. With every operational department that you've heard from, it all begins with a financial plan, a plan of resources. We can't do or accomplish anything without financial resources. Other activities we're responsible for are the oversight of the resources for the entire city. So that is similar to banking. And that implies that the part of my title, which is treasurer. And then we are responsible for the long-term stability. The backward looking is what we call an audit. And so that involves financial reporting, where we look back over what we call a fiscal year, and we look at how the entire organization performed. So in terms of the path, not surprisingly, you would want at minimum a bachelor's degree in finance, econ, economics, and a few of those were my path after a number of jobs. And you know, if it's any assessment of the career, we actually have 2 of our younger children are college students, and they're following my path in finance. Both of them studying business and finance. My daughter at one of my alma maters, Cal State San Bernardino. So now we're going to hear from one of our senior managers in the department, Jessica.
Good evening. My name is Jessica, and I'm the Financial Services Administrator for the City of Vernon's finance team. So a little bit about myself. I was born in Mexico. I came here when I was 7 years old. I didn't know any English, so it was a struggle to come to a new land, learn the language, but it came with a lot of opportunities. So, I was the first to graduate for my family. I was actually going to school first to be a psychologist. So I had no idea I wanted to go into finance. While working and going to college, I worked as a cashier. And one of my managers came to me and said, hey, like, you're really good with numbers. Like when you don't balance, you look at the ERP system, you look for where did you go wrong? You're very tenacious in trying to figure out like, what did you do wrong? So she encouraged me to go into finance. And so the next semester I took a class in accounting and I loved it. I decided to change my career choice and went into finance. I worked in the private sector for 17 years. It was very, exciting, but it was also very hard with 2 small children. There was not a lot of flexibility. And speaking with my family, my dad encouraged me to apply for the city. So I did. And, coming here to Vernon, we work a 4-10 schedule. So it's very flexible. I'm able to enjoy my family a little bit more. There's great benefits here. And also going back to finance, I feel like we're like the hub for all departments. So for example, when Public Works or VPU wants to do a project, we look at the financings, make sure there's a lot of funding for them, and we're able to provide. I think that the main difference from private to public is that in public, you see where all the dollars go. So you can follow the transparency in, where you can visibly see that citizens and businesses are benefiting for all the tax dollars that you guys contribute. So there's a lot of careers. Again, he's the director of finance. We have a management team. If you're interested in purchasing, we have 3 positions where they oversee all the purchases, ensuring that we're following all the policies. There's also accounts payable if you're interested in paying like all the bills. We process the payroll for all departments. And we also have risk, and they look at and ensure that all projects are properly insured. And we have our accountant, and he ensures that everything's getting booked properly. And obviously us, we ensure that the books are up to par and we pass the audits every year. So if you guys have any questions, we'll be here to answer at the Q&A.
Okay, next we'll hear from PD. Sorry.
Good evening. How you guys doing? You guys doing okay? Anybody need to stand up, stretch your legs or anything? No, everybody good? I don't want anybody snoozing while I'm talking. All right. So first of all, I want to say as a Lakewood alumni, I'm going to have to ask the young lady from Milliken to plug her ears. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So obviously we're from the police department. I'm fairly confident. I don't really have to explain too much what we do. You guys all own TVs or have seen a movie before. That's somewhat of an accurate depiction of what we do. But for us particularly, we're a small department. We've only got 44 sworn officers, and then we've got about 15 to 20 what we call professional staff. So there's lots of different careers that you can go into in law enforcement besides just being a police officer. And we also have a detective here as well. So she'll tell her story a little bit later. But I wanted to kind of explain to you guys that if there's an interest on your part on being in law enforcement, that there's a lot of different opportunities for you. Depending on the department that you choose or the agency, whether you want to stay local in a municipal police department, if you want to go to a county department like the sheriff's department, or you can go into a state level, or you can go into the federal level. There's all kinds of different types of careers that you can be in. You can even be in a finance type position for as like a support person for the county or for the state agencies or something like that. So if you like law enforcement, but you also love numbers, then you could do that kind of thing. So there's just so many different things that if that's something that's interesting you or interest you, don't limit yourself to just thinking, oh, well, I don't want to really want to be a cop and write tickets and all that. Cool. There's a whole lot of different opportunities for you out there in law enforcement. So for us, we've got, like I said, we're a small department. So we have dispatchers. They're the ones that answer 911 calls. They talk to our officers over the radios. We also have a service officer who goes out and assists with traffic control or writes parking tickets. We have court services, guy that oversees our evidence. We have secretaries, we have record staff. So there's a lot of supports personnel, and then within the department, our sworn positions, we have police officers, obviously. And then if you promote up, you'll become a field training officer, a detective. You can become a supervisor and be a sergeant. You can be on an outside investigation team where we can partner with state or federal agencies like the DEA or for a local regional team. And they go out and they do drug investigations or they go after terrorism. There's a ton of different things out there for law enforcement. Again, so don't just focus on being a police officer if that's not what really interests you. And then all the way up from, other supervisory levels, all the way up to, I'm the captain. I didn't even introduce myself. I'm sorry. My name is Brandon Gray. I'm the captain for the police department. Back there in the back is our Chief Robert Sosa. So let me go in a little bit about my career path. I don't want to bore you, but I'm very exciting. So I was one of the really cool kids when I grew up. I was in the Boy Scouts. And so I know, I'll sign autographs afterward. But that really instilled in me in that desire to help people and do well and be a good person and all those those things that everybody says that they are, but it really instilled that in me, and I wanted to serve the public. And so I knew when I was younger that I always wanted to be what I always thought was just an investigator. So I didn't really know what that meant. I just knew I wanted to be like a detective because those guys and gals on TV were really cool. So as I graduated high school, I didn't know what I was going to do. I started in junior college, taking a class here and there, just kind of flaking out. But then I ended up getting a part-time job here. I'm sorry, not a part-time job, but a full-time job as a dispatcher here. So I started as a dispatcher because I knew I wanted to be in law enforcement. I just didn't know where, because I knew that there was a lot of opportunities. I just didn't know what I wanted to be. So I started here. I was able to work different hours because we have different shifts. We have day shift, we have night shift. So I could work at night and go to school during the day, or during the day I could work and go to school at night. So it really helped out with the schooling. And it also helped me get exposed to patrol officers, to detectives, to outside agencies. And so that kind of garnered that excitement in me. And I decided, you know what, I am going to make that step and I want to be a police officer. So I went through the process, got hired, and here I am now 27 years later, still with the city of Vernon. So, I started off with no degree or whatsoever. I now have a master's degree. So, to get into this career, you don't have to have a college degree. It helps, especially right now where the applicants that we're getting, they pretty much have a college degree to start off with, but the minimum requirements are a high school graduate. It just helps. But as you want to promote throughout the department, getting a degree will definitely help you. Now, as far as what degree, you're thinking, okay, I got to have a criminal justice degree. No. You just have to have a degree. We've got kinesiologists. I think that was you, Lisa. We've got obviously criminal law. We got all kinds of business, all these different types of degrees. It just shows that you're educated. You can write, you can read, you can somewhat speak, unlike me. But then you also set goals and you can attain them. And that's some of the key traits that you want for an employee, but specifically for law enforcement. So that's my long, boring speech, but here's Detective Velez.
Thank you, Captain. So like Captain said, I'm Detective Marissa Velez. I've been with the Vernon Police Department for 5 years as a sworn police officer. So I'm going to go a little bit backwards from what the captain did. We both bring to the table that we had unique civilian careers. I was really lucky to be able to work as a civilian employee, part of a professional staff for another agency. Now, for me, being a detective, I've spent 3 years in the Detective Bureau as of now. And like the captain said, we investigate all kinds of stuff. I currently work fraud, which is probably as exciting as you guys think it is. Don't worry, it is. Lots of numbers, lots of checks, lots of money, lots of paperwork. But I had the opportunity to work property before that and traffic before that. So we investigate everything that comes through the door pretty much. Prior to that, working patrol, which is a blast. And like the captain said, you go into law enforcement, you think this is going to be so great. I'm going to help everybody. I'm going to save the world. That's really what I wanted to do. I'm going to be honest. My dad was a police officer. I was 7 years old when I said I want to be a cop, but look at how cool we look. Like we've got guns, we drive cool cars. So much of it for me was honestly, you look so cool being a cop. I saw it as a kid and I said, wow, that just looks so cool. I want to do that. I want to look that cool when I grow up. I know some of us are still figuring out what we want to do when we grow up. Don't worry. You guys have time. It's okay. Lisa can still be an Olympian. We know that. So, don't give up. Yeah. Curling. We have a curling center in Vernon. If you guys didn't know, we have a curling center. It's awesome. Take a chance to go look at it. But what's been really cool is that I've had the opportunity to work an array of positions. including field training officer more recently, you know, the detective bureau, patrol. I've been a dispatcher. I've worked in records. I've worked CSI. I've had a great time doing all these things. And the biggest reason I'm up here is because I wanted to show the girls that you can do it. You know, a lot of people see police officers and they think of men. We've got 5 women in our department right now, which is the most we've had at one time. And it's been so exciting. 6. Sorry, we have 6 women. I'm sorry, we do have 6. We have 6 women, the most we've had at the same time, which is amazing. We're making history. So I wanted to show the women that we can do it. You can be as tough as the boys. Doesn't matter how big you are, you know, how strong you are. We're all strong. We can do it. We can get through it. And it's been a great opportunity to do all the different assignments, just like the captain stated. I did go to school. I studied criminology. I also studied CSI, which was fun, but gross. So now when stuff happens, we call CSI team. So I stand on the side out, you know, where the tape is, and I tell them where stuff is, which is a lot of fun too. So it's been a great profession, a great career. We've had a good time doing it. And I am able to look up to the captain, look up to the chief, and, you know, kind of make those goals and hopefully be in their shoes one day.
You know, to kind of put a bow to all this, if you are considering a career in public service, working for a city, what I would recommend to you is kind of figure out what you want. Do you want to work for a large city where there will be a lot of different opportunities for you, where, you know, like if you want to go to a large police department, you could go and you could be on a helicopter, or you can be on the SWAT team. Vernon doesn't have that stuff. But if you go to a small department or a small city, you're not going to have all those opportunities, but you're not going to be just a number either. You know, these folks over here talk about being a team. We are a team. We all work together. Whereas if you're in a larger city or an agency, you're not going to know everybody. We know everybody here. So just know that when you're making your decision about working for a city or an agency, what's important to you, the various opportunities or being, you know, part of a working team that everybody's tight. So that's it. We'll be around if you guys have any questions. Thanks.
All right, let's talk about lawyers. Is anyone interested in law? Any hopeful law students? None? Oh man, I'll try to change your mind. So I'm sure most of you know what lawyers do, typically what lawyers do in their day-to-day, but a lot of people don't really understand what a city attorney's department or a city attorney's office is. So here in the city of Vernon, we provide legal counsel to the city on all matters that come before the city. So that includes advising city council, all of the commissions for the city, representing and advising in litigation. We're actually in a jury trial right now. That's why we came in a few minutes late. A couple of us who are 4 weeks in to a very long trial. Reviewing contracts. So some of the transactional items that are a little bit less exciting, but the day-to-day where essentially if it's anything that the city needs to sign off on or a member of the city has to sign, then we have to review it and ensure that it's valid, that the city is not going to be exposed to any liability and things like that. I am the city attorney. I am an in-house city attorney. So there's a little bit of a difference in smaller cities where sometimes they contract their city attorneys, where they hire a law firm to represent them in the city attorney capacity. And sometimes they have in-house attorneys. We are a full service city. As you've heard from the other departments, we do a lot, even though we're a small city. We have a lot going on in a variety of sort of disciplines. So on any given day, as I mentioned today, we're, fully in a jury trial, which is thankfully rare. We have a health department, so we have a lot of those environmental issues that come up. We have a police department, which thankfully stays out of trouble and is fantastic to work with. We did have a fire department. We now contract with the county for fire, but we are full service and we do stay extremely busy. Just a little bit about my background. I am a first generation attorney, so there were no lawyers in my family. We're solidly working class. My parents encouraged me a lot. I did kind of have an idea that I wanted to go to law school when I was in high school. I went to USC undergrad and I went to Loyola for law school, all on scholarships and grants and loans. My family wasn't in a position to help me pay for school. So thankfully I was able to to do that. And I do think that another benefit of working in the public sector, if you're not already aware, there's a federal program called Public Service Loan Forgiveness, where if you're working in the public sector, whether it's a city or the federal government, or even as a teacher, if you work for 10 years and make your student loan payments on time for those 10 years, then the remainder of your student loan debt is forgiven, which is a huge asset to those of us who have to take out loans for higher education. You don't have to go to law school to work for a city attorney's office. You could be a legal secretary, you could be a paralegal. In bigger cities like LA and Long Beach, they have very large city attorney's offices. So you have dozens of attorneys, you have paralegals on staff, you have a lot of administrative staff. So if you like the law, but you don't necessarily want to make the commitment to be a lawyer, there are certainly a lot of options there. Our office, I'll just pitch a little bit. We do have a legal internship program. We haven't had interns in the recent past, mostly because of the pandemic, but we do have a program where we do outreach to local law schools and try to bring in law students to work with our office for, a set number of hours every week. They get hands-on experience in municipal law. I would love to see more local students involved in our office and in our city. It's a great place to work, and I truly enjoy my job, which I think is a gift. Happy to answer any questions. I have cards too, so thank you.
My name is Mike Shihata. I'm the project manager in the information technology department. To speak a little bit about my background, like many of the other managers here, I've been kind of all over the place. I didn't really grow up with an idea of what I wanted to be. I mean, I knew what I wanted to be, but it wasn't necessarily information technology. As a young child, I always wanted to be in the Marines. And I went into the Marines at a very young age, went in for electronic maintenance, but then I had to leave early due to family issues. So I kind of had to start from scratch. I ended up working at Radio Shack, just selling electronics. And through that, I ended up learning I had a passion for computers. I didn't really know about it at the time. People would bring in their computers and say, hey, can you help us? And we're like, everybody else would just turn them away and say, we only sell things here. And I'd be like, no, let me take a look at it. And then I found out I had a passion for it. I then went on to work for the cable company, thinking I would learn about the fiber optic network and the internet as a whole and so forth. And that really got me into thinking about certifications in college and so forth. I started going into computer networking and going after certifications. And that's when I decided it's time to really get my foot in the door in the information technology world and actually sit in front of a computer and work on things. And that's when I started looking around and I realized kind of what Michael and HR touched on is I was looking for some more stability. I didn't want to keep jumping around different jobs and so forth. And then I came across the idea of what if I look for something more like government based, because you don't really hear about people in government switching jobs all the time. So I applied here as a help desk technician with nothing more than just a couple IT certifications. I was still working on my bachelor's. That wasn't even completed yet. So I rose through the ranks, just, getting my foot through the door really helped. I was able to take on bigger projects, look at the networking infrastructure. And as time went on, I became an analyst and a senior analyst and now a project manager because we're given opportunities here in a smaller environment that you wouldn't necessarily get in a bigger infrastructure, kind of like what the captain was mentioning, is that when you're part of a smaller team, you take on many more roles than if you were to just focus on one individual item. So we deal with the networking and we deal with the server infrastructure and we deal with the websites and you end up wearing a lot of hats. And so I think that really helped with jumping forward in this career. And I think it's being in the public sector really helped with that. So aside from just my background, our department's kind of unique in the sense that, kind of like what finance mentioned, is we kind of are an internal facing department. Yes, we deal with the public a little bit, but we mostly support the other departments here so they can help support the public. So we're in charge of the underlying infrastructure that the other departments depend on. So whether it's public utilities and the power plant, or it's public works and the various software they use for mapping the city out and so forth, they all rely on us having a working infrastructure. So it's while we don't directly service the public for the most part. We do feel we are an important part of the city because everything else that runs in the city relies on that infrastructure. So in terms of the various career opportunities here in Vernon, specifically, we have information technology technicians, which deal with like the frontline defense between like the end users and issues like that. And then you have system analysts that deal more with like planning the infrastructure and dealing with bigger issues that involve the whole city. And all of us kind of take on different roles that we kind of share duties here because we're a much smaller team, like I mentioned. So we all kind of touch the website, we all kind of touch the network, but we have our own kind of focus areas. But in general, what you'll notice is kind of what Manny was mentioning on in the Public Works department is you'll see that in the public sector, they focus a little bit more on degrees when you get into IT. So they want to see that just on the resume. So I saw that as time went on, even though I was already here, I was like, maybe I should focus more on maybe a master's in case I want to move forward. But you are seeing a trend now in the last like 5 years alone in the private sector where they're leaning more towards like experience and certifications because those are a little more up to date because you might have a degree from 20 years ago, but certifications expire. So those are like, you're always learning the latest technology. So if you decide to go into IT, maybe focus a little bit on certifications, but you might still want to have at least a bachelor's in case they have, you know, they stop you at the door and say, no, you have to have a college degree. It still helps you get into the door. But certifications, I believe, are playing a much bigger role now in the IT industry. And then I'll lead it into.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I am the IT technician for the city of Vernon. As Mike mentioned, I am that frontline defense. And if pretty much you have an issue, you want to give us a call, more than likely, I'm going to be the person you reach out to, whether it be a call or email, or if you see me running down the hallway, you'll just stop me, ask me a quick question. Most of the time, they're not that quick, but it's okay, Freddie. But I'm always happy to help. And that's really a key aspect of Vernon I really like, is that I enjoy working with everyone here, no matter the issue at hand. But basically a bit about myself. I didn't have quite the same experience with IT Mike had. As a kid in high school, I just wanted to play some video games. So I learned how to build a computer. And with that, my family's like, oh, you're the IT guy now. You're going to fix why the Wi-Fi doesn't work. The TV's kind of funny. So little by little, I started learning more. And thanks to the free university of YouTube, I learned a lot. I actually don't have a formal 4-year degree. I've really been mostly self-taught and learned a lot of my skills on the job. Previously, I was a contract position for the city of Pasadena, where they really opened my eyes to what IT is. And then fortunately, I got a position here, and really Mike helped me find out what I really, really like to do, and that is IT. Computers are great. It's not magic, I swear. Apart from that, what I do is pretty much, it's going to be easier to describe what I don't do. Almost everything in this room except the lights and the furniture, we take care of. Making sure this mic sounds good, that these screens work and the internet's on. That's all an aspect of me and then Mike. So that's really it. If you have any questions, I'm definitely happy here to answer any questions. And I know even our own staff always has questions, and we're always here to help. Freddie, you're my favorite customer. I have to. Yes, as always. Thank you, man. So with that, next is city admin.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Lily Hernandez. I'm the assistant to the city administrator here in Vernon. The city administration department oversees the city's operations. You have an opportunity to hear from some of our directors today. And the city administrator is really the person that is responsible for making sure that the city's day-to-day operations are moving along smoothly. And for that, he does rely on his team of leaders here at the city in each department, as well as an internal team comprised of his staff. So city administration is comprised of the city administrator,
a deputy city administrator, the assistant to the city administrator, an administrative analyst, and an administrative assistant, senior in the department. We're also responsible for the public information office and economic development. And as you can see on the slides here, the city administrator sets priorities and goals for the city based on policy direction received from the city council. Just makes sure that that there's an effective delivery of services to the public. So that means making sure that the streets are clean, so working with public works, and that the utilities are working, and that public safety services are adequate and responsive. How did I get here? So like some of my colleagues, or most of my colleagues, have shared today, as a student, I also didn't have an exact plan for what I wanted to do. But I did really enjoy learning. That might sound really corny, but I was totally a nerd. So in college, I jumped around math, science-based courses, humanities, and finally settled on history as my major. For a time, I pursued studies in education, and then realized teaching was not for me. I would not have made a good teacher. So I ended up getting my bachelor's degree from UCLA, and eventually went into the private sector, working as an administrative assistant for the president of mergers and acquisition brokerage firm. After about 8 years of being there, I was ready for a change and started looking for something different, and ended up applying here at the city of Vernon, working for the administrator. For me, that was a natural transition, because the city administrator is basically like the CEO of an organization. So, I took a leap of faith. I applied, I started working here. And now I'm part of this wonderful team that gets to do all kinds of projects and assignments. I really enjoy the flow and the variety of assignments and projects that we get to work on. One day we are planning for our community outreach events, or events like today's career day. And then I could very quickly be assigned something else, like doing research on a legislative bill, or figuring out how to help a department with a contract or a grant application. For me, I really enjoy that. And I think when we get to accomplish our goals, it's truly a rewarding feeling. And looking back, even though I didn't start off knowing what I wanted to do, I think all of my experiences, my education, the different courses that I took have all helped me succeed to this point. And if I could give you a piece of advice, it would just be to be unafraid to pursue the things that you enjoy, and to see what's out there for you. Everyone's path is different. Like I said, I really enjoyed learning, and I feel like even in my job today, every day, I learn something new. I learn something new depending on what we're working on, or just working with the rest of my colleagues. So, thank you.
All right, thank you, Lily. I think she said it best, right? Everyone has a different path. And I think, and I hope that after hearing from all the different department heads and the support team that they all have, that you can see there's a wide range of different positions you could go into. And it can stem from many different degrees. Mine was political science and communications. And then I ended up getting my master's in public policy and administration. And then realizing that they were helpful but general, that I ended up also taking on a certification in strategic branding and marketing. And so you realize that you can take some of these skill sets and you can apply them to anywhere, whether it's public or it's private, and then you can use them probably in every department. So when you hear each of these individuals speak, that they didn't necessarily know that this is the direct path that they were going to head into, I think all the skill sets you learn and all the courses you take definitely kind of chips away to a certain path. And I think you've heard a lot of people share tips. That's because each and every one of those tips were meaningful to them. My tip would probably be it's always best to not necessarily go after what you think you know, but help define what you don't want to do. Because then at least that path is not necessarily a mile long or wide, and now it's a lot slimmer and you can identify maybe at least what you want to do. I'm hopeful that after an hour and a half of getting to hear about everyone speak about local government and the different positions, that you guys have a good sense of the different types of careers that are in local government, and hopefully it inspired you to go into public service. I've been at this for over 20 years, and like everyone who's spoken, I very much enjoy what I do, come to work every day. And it's a big part of your life. You spend over, well, it's a 40-hour work week, but probably way more than that. And you have to really enjoy what you do and the people that you work with. So we are, as I think Todd and a handful of other people have said, we're easy to access. So if you're ever interested, we talked about a handful of internships. They really are a super great way to get engaged and figure out if that's what you want to do. I did a handful of internships in my career. I started working when I was 13. But the internships really give you an idea if that's something that you're interested in. And a lot of times they pay you for it. So I used to run an internship program where we paid recent graduates very well. So you can start off making something like $60,000, $70,000 just as a paid intern. There is a folder outside. I don't know if everyone got a chance. I see a handful of you have them, but definitely take them. There are flyers inside that kind of give you a good sense of the different positions that each of the department heads have shared. So hopefully you get a chance to take a look at that and then follow up with us if you have any more questions. So are there any questions now? Yes. We do. It's essentially me. And you know what, I'll say this. So I handle media relations for the city, but I also work very closely and have been in other agencies where oftentimes if it's an emergency, I work with the city or the police PIO. So Captain Gray is our police PIO. And that's a very interesting position on its own, right? Because why you exist is not necessarily because you know all the facts. In fact, you go to each of and every one of the subject matter experts to get the information, but it's your job to distill it and then to relay it to the public so they hopefully can glean some of the key points. And it's also, the position is very important because it's intended to safeguard our elected officials, those who sit up there, as well as our city manager from having to deal with some of those direct questions from the reporters. I don't. Social media is handled by Diana, who's part of our city administration team. Yeah, it depends. In every city, it's different. And depending on how big they are. And then also for police back there, she handles the police Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Any other questions? No, but I would say definitely look at city services, different cities as a whole, because sometimes they do have that opportunity. I know at a previous agency that I work with, City of Pasadena, they do. It's called their Rose program, and they allow high school students to get a little bit of introduction to different jobs in public service. Yes, Parks and Recs is probably one of the biggest departments that often allows, high schoolers, even under 18, get a little bit more exposure. But I will say, I don't know if it was Freddie, maybe he was using Yahoo, but if you Google it, you'll find a lot of opportunities online.
Okay. Lisa still wants proof of that, but
Any other questions? Anyone online? I think we have about a dozen folks online.
Yeah, roughly a dozen. For those online, either go ahead and use the raise hand feature at the bottom of the Zoom window to have permission to speak, or you can just send us a message and I can read it aloud. I'll give you all just a moment to do so.
In the meantime, you have a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so right now I know he mentioned internships. Do you guys have anything for volunteers?
If, you know, in addition to the flyer, to Michael's point, our HR director, if you go to human resources on any city and you go under either jobs available or jobs description, you can see a laundry list of the different types, not necessarily the ones that are also just currently in recruitment, but just the different types of jobs there are. And you can see the types of qualifications and degrees and scope of work that it would require to do the job. Any other questions? Ready for dinner? Any questions online?
We have none on Zoom.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming tonight, and for the parents who took you here and for the parents who allowed you to come. I hope you learned something. Have a great evening.